And he said, don't worry about anything. If you see anyone, don't say anything. He said, we've got the bomb disposal squad down here. We've got the FBI in on it. And this person told us that he could see the front of the Star Telegram. He knew what you looked like. And as you walked out the building and went to the bank, he would know what you were doing, and you go to the bank and get $20,000 and put it in some kind of a sack or a bag or a briefcase and leave the bank and go to the night depository box at the Equitable Savings and Loan and just put the money on the ground there. And I said, that's fine with me if my banker will cooperate. So the bank arranged for the money. It took about 10 minutes, and I took the paper sack and walked out of the bank building, walked over to Equitable Savings, and the night deposit box was there. And I put the paper sack at the base of the night deposit box, took my time walking on back, went to the drugstore and bought some chewing gum and came on back to the office. And when I got back to the office, we got to wondering if this was really right, and we called down to the detective's office at the Fort Worth Police Department. Well, they knew nothing about it. You can imagine how that made me feel, that I'd really been a sucker.
Ferocious watchdog. That's what a Doberman Pinscher is supposed to be. But all this dog did early this morning was snore and sleep as 4 armed robbers burst in the front door, crashed into this bedroom, and held a gun to Mr. and Mrs. Van Zellen's heads. What happened then, Mr. Van Zellen?
And they said, we want money and jewelry and everything else so you have here. And I just said, well, there's a billfold on the dresser. There's some money in my wife's purse. There's jewelry. Just don't hurt us. Don't hurt her. Leave her alone. She's not very strong. And they made some other obscene remarks and ransacked everything. And then they brought me in this bedroom and put me on the floor down here. And then one of them came over and said, we're hanging your wife by her ankles and we're cutting her throat unless you tell us where more money and jewelry are. Well, I said, I told you everything. I'll get more money for you tomorrow, but there's nothing I can do tonight. They left me. One of them came back, put the gun back in my hand. He said, well, we're going to end this all. And they clicked it once. Then they left again. Then they came back and said, now we're leaving. And don't come out because somebody's going to be watching. I got broke loose and let my wife loose, and we just ran out and went across to some of our friends.
Well, tell me, what was this dog doing the whole time that they were putting you on the floor?
Well, he was very comforting to me. He was licking my face. Well, I'm only...
Six checkpoints have been placed at the head of each concourse at the airport to create what officials call a sterile concourse. All carry-on luggage and handbags are checked by agents, and then ticketed passengers, as well as just visitors, are walked through a metal detecting device. U.S. Marshals are also on hand. Photographer John Anderson and I went through 3 of the barricades and found that most of the people took the search cheerfully and cooperatively. There were some mutterings about being afraid of missing a plane, some confusion as hand baggage was removed for the walk through the weapon detector, and perhaps a bit of alarm when a buzz signaled a metallic object on a person. The archway detects almost anything with a metallic base, including cigarette packs, loose change, and film cans. But all in all, there were few delays, and no delayed flights, officials told me. I did learn that if you want to make a flight, carry a minimum of hand luggage. Get to the airport a little early, and be glad that something is being done about the ominous threat of a hijacker. For Channel 8 News on the Move, this is Judi Hanna at Love Field.
We've come here to the committee today, the Dallas-Fort Worth Sign Association, to simply make our position that we are in favor of sign legislation, but we do not want it based on an attempted statement that signs overload the information system or cause traffic accidents. We have supplied them with what we consider to be the best evidence from some of the best professionals denying these points. In fact, we have a letter from one of the people they're sorting that they are citing to sustain that. All we want is a fair ordinance that isn't based on non-substantive reasons.
I don't think I'm going to try and relate to the question of safety in signs. There are arguments both sides, and I admit it's difficult. The system I've worked at is not tied to the safety factor. But in regard to overload of the environment, the citizen survey here has already indicated they think so. In a democracy, they should have something to say. I think in terms of my field studies and in terms of some experts and our interpretations of those, there is an overload in the environment the way it is now, and we think we've documented it. And we think there's a system that can go to court.
District Attorney Tim Curry told the commissioners he needs about $28,000 extra to hire 3 more attorneys for his office. Curry said he thought the extra personnel had already been approved, but according to the budget approval for his department, he could not find them. He outlined the duties the new attorneys will perform.
We want one attorney for this new airport that's going to open up in the middle of the year. We'll probably have him full-time at the Northeast Courthouse. We want one attorney that will handle bond forfeitures full-time. We need an additional attorney in our intake section in the downtown office.
Curry also said he needed more money to purchase some furniture because some items are missing from one of his offices. No one has been able to find 2 end tables and a coffee table that were supposedly delivered last fall. The commissioners told Curry that he would have his extra money for personnel. The commissioners are to approve their new annual budget in Monday's meeting. Jim Green, Channel 8 News on the Move, Fort Worth.
I feel I can guard guys like Walt Simon almost, that although I won't always be in good defensive position, sometimes I'll be faked out of position. They're not going to take it all the way to the basket, and I can catch them, and I'll be blocking shots from behind. I feel I can do that a lot. Whereas, as long as they can't get all the way to the basket, they're going to have to pull up sometime, and I'll always be there. And I may not look like I know what I'm doing, but I'll be out there.
They talk about professional basketball being so much more physical than college ball is. Having been in pro basketball a short time now, can you attest to that?
Yeah, I'll go along with that, yeah.
I'm sure there are little tricks of the trade that you have to learn to get away with, aren't there? What are some of them?
Well, you have to be able to keep your hands on as much as possible without drawing a lot of attention from the officials, and push at the right time. Get low, keep your balance, and yell a lot when they hit you, stuff like that.
It means that we will not be able to do business within the city limits of Dallas pending the ruling by the appeals court.
You've been doing business in San Antonio and Austin. What has been your experience there?
I've had no problems. San Antonio and Austin regulate massage parlors rather than totally condemn them.
Now, City Attorney Alex Bickley has said that massage parlors are, quote, a hotbed of prostitution. How do you answer that charge?
The only thing I can say is that in San Antonio and Austin, the massage parlors have not been a hotbed of prostitution. We regulate ourselves through the cooperation of the local vice squad.
This is Army Sgt. Nicky Bacon of Copperas Cove, Texas, but he is not your average soldier. Sergeant Bacon wears this nation's highest award, the United States Congressional Medal of Honor, awarded by President Nixon for bravery above and beyond the call of duty while serving in Vietnam.
And today it's bravery above and beyond the call of duty again, Sergeant Bacon. You're teaching young people about the flag, how to fold it, and how to respect it.
Yes, sir. This gets a little more involved in combat at times.
Well, this young man, what is your name?
Peter Furchie.
Peter, have you learned anything from Sergeant Bacon this morning?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think you've learned?
Learned to have more respect for the flag and for the armed forces.
Thank you very much. You know, Sergeant Bacon, I'm sure the Congressional Medal of Honor must have changed your life somehow.
Yes, sir, it has indeed. For one, I'm not a public spokesman, never intend to be a public spokesman, and I find myself involved quite rapidly in different discussions, talks, and even things as minor as an elementary school discussion of the flag.
Listen, you young people behind Sergeant Bacon here, do you understand the Congressional Medal of Honor, and do you appreciate a man like this? Do you? Give him a big hand, huh?
They took them off your fingers?
No, I didn't have them.
It's like nothing to you. A little.
All aboard, please.
The way it would break down the financial requirements.
Some question what your final figures reflect.
Well, I don't think we did, but I think y'all got $30,000 if the discrepancy exists. We don't know for sure if it does. Tim, we do need to get rid of it. I will, if possible.
Hard man to do that.
Well,
I think we should stick some paintings over there.
On this wall over here.
Well, depends on
Excuse me,
what
Mr. Corey.
Yeah.
Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News.
Oh, I'm very happy to meet you, sir.
What is Judge Hill's stay of the ruling going to do to you?
What?
Flag. Where the red signifies the strength of the United States. It is the symbol of the United States.
Well, a 6-lane arterial, according to the Wilbur-Smith proposal, will take houses at least on one side of the street, probably one lot deep, all the way south from Interstate 20, from the toll road to Interstate 20. Whereas a 4-lane widening rather than a 6-lane will take approximately 10 foot off of the yards on each side of Fielder all the way down. In some instances, this will leave very little, if any, front yard to the houses that now face Fielder.
How much for my property are you going to get? The question is, my car now, I can barely get my car in the driveway now, as this property is, because it's been expanded once. If you take any of my property, they're going to be driving in my kitchen.
Okay.
And I was there in the summertime, and then for my brother's my brother was in the Secret Service. He was in for a year, and he moved up there in January and I think they do. I don't know. I hope they do. Involved.
Do they have a single, team up with?
Situation. He was in the Secret Service there.
Cut. Okay. Do you have a boyfriend? Are you going to take somebody to Washington with you? You have to have an escort for the dance,
Right. I have a.
The answer is that she has to have worked hard in the Young Voters for the President and be invited to his inauguration. Cindy Hartman, a student at Chester Nimitz High School in Irving, was the envy of her classmates when she told them she had been personally invited to attend President Nixon's swearing-in, parade, and ball. I met Cindy after school, and she told me she has been involved in politics for 2 years, having worked for Republican Congressman Jim Collins, for Senator John Tower, and for the re-election of the president.
Cindy, of the youth in Irving who worked on the president's campaign, why were you the only one to receive an invitation to his inauguration?
I believe I'm the only one that worked hard and consistent enough to receive it. The others worked, but not all at once. They worked here and there, but not constantly.
How did you get involved in politics in the first place?
My parents, they were involved in it, and I just joined in with them. And Congressman Collins was the one I mainly got involved with in the beginning.
Because of the cost of going to Washington, your parents are still a bit undecided about letting you go. Do you think they'll relent and decide to let you go?
Yes, ma'am, I hope so. I believe they will. If things all work out right, I will probably be able to make it.
Cindy figures that the trip to Washington would cost about $500, considering it's $15 per person for the youth ball, and seat prices for the parade range from $5 to $50, plus transportation, room and board, and of course her mother would go along as chaperone.
Even if you don't get to go this year, are you going to stay in politics?
Definitely. I love politics, and I'm going to stay in and work hard.
Cindy, who is an above-average student,
plans to be a lawyer and eventually become a politician herself. For Channel 8 News on the Move, this is June Gray.